Hey, fans of the Monday Movie Club. Here we are with Oscar fever. This week we watched this year's Best Picture Oscar winner, Oppenheimer. I am Frank Gaffney. With us, as always, Jay Harris Fenster. I like that. Jay Harris Fenster.
That is
Annie
cute.
King, who's not traveling anywhere. Annie, this is like 3 weeks in a row. You haven't gone anywhere.
I know, but the whole month of April I'll be away.
Oh, okay, good. Mark Wotsitz, Gartner. And Goldfuck and Cringer, mostly Cringer. No Goldfuck. Ah, there we go. Oh, Mary, who does your hair?
I know, it's awful.
I see. It's a ponytail. I thought it was all like wispy things out the sides. All right, here's a plot of the movie. During World War II, Lieutenant General Leslie Groves Jr., Oscar winner Robert Downey Jr., appoints physicist J. Robert
Whoa,
Oppenheimer.
whoa. You're already historically inaccurate.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's
He won last
Oscar
night. What are you
winner Matt
talking about?
Damon.
Oh, yeah.
Damon.
Matt Damon played.
Sorry.
Matt
Ah, yeah,
Appoints physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer, Oscar winner Cillian Murphy, although it's spelled Cillian, he's Cillian, to work on a top secret Manhattan project. Oppenheimer and a team of scientists spend years developing and designing the atomic bomb. Right, and Robert Downey Jr. is his nemesis, I'd say.
Yes.
Oscar winner Robert Downey Jr. But the film really is less about Oppenheimer himself, although you do learn a lot about him, than about the world that made the bomb, the world that both celebrated and mistrusted the man that had that job. I'm reading that, obviously. But I totally agree with that. It was about a lot more than just his life. And the director, of course, Christopher Nolan, Oscar winner Christopher Nolan, is a visionary. And in the 25 years since he made his first film, he's only made 11 films.
Huh.
And all with his unique style.
And 3 of them are
And
Batman movies.
And 3 of them are very, very good Batman movies. He said, I actually don't want people to have me in mind at all when they're watching films. He couldn't be more wrong. Because no director working today could bring to life the life of a physicist and get the kind of reaction this movie has. It is, for me, it is a spellbinding thriller. Yes, a thriller. And much like the musical 1776, right, Amy? We know the outcome.
Yep.
But it's endlessly fascinating how we get there.
And you're still like, oh my God, is it going to work?
Yeah. And for a 3-hour epic with no superheroes to be nearing the $1 billion mark at the box office in worldwide grosses, that's a testament to moviegoers who see the name Christopher Nolan and step up to the box office. And just this week, I pointed out how in 1981, when Raiders of the Lost Ark was nominated for Best Picture, 4 of the 5 Best Picture nominees were among the top 20 highest grossing films for that year. And this year, only 2 of the 10 Best Picture nominees are in the top 20 grossers, the other one being Barbie. And in the 42 years since 1981, the movie business has changed very radically. And as the average moviegoer is getting younger, the studios are focusing on catering to that audience to go see movies. And they have fewer prestige pictures on their schedule. And that's where all the smaller independent companies took up the baton and started making those kinds of movies. And even you have to wait like 3 months and it's on streaming. So why bother to go to sit in the movie theater when we have our big screen and surround sound right in our own house? Joel actually has a movie theater in his house. But people went out of their way to go and see Oppenheimer. And we were so sure it was going to win that we actually filmed this yesterday.
So you're going to re-edit this somehow after the fact if something that you said Oscar winner this and Oscar winner that doesn't actually win?
No, if we're wrong, we're wrong, right?
Okay.
All right, we watched it anyway. Well,
the gowns and tuxedos were beautiful last night, though.
I think, yes, I definitely think that Emma Stone was the best dressed at the whole thing. All right.
Best undressed.
And full disclosure, I only watched 2 hours of the movie because I didn't have a chance to watch it. But I saw it last July when it was in movie theaters. And watching it the second time really made more sense, if that's what I mean. It was like the first time it was jumping around and jumping around, and I'm like, yeah, I don't see where all of this fits together. And watching it this time, I was like, ah, now I get it.
You took the words right
And
out of
I agree.
yeah, and yeah, definitely there are nits to pick, but for me, this is a 4-star movie. It really is. It really is a masterpiece. Oh,
Puppy.
good morning. Good morning.
it.
What's
Oh
the
my
dog's
God.
name?
Abby.
Abby. Oh, she's like, yeah, that's me.
Abby.
Oh.
Hi to Abby's.
Oh, ooh, hi, Papa.
Hi.
There, she's looking at you now.
Hmm.
All right, so yeah, watching it the second time definitely understood. There are nits to pick for sure. Yeah, some of the sex scenes did seem a little like, why are we watching this? Because he's a man, he's a human. All right, whatever. And so 4-star movie for me, definitely a masterpiece, modern classic. And now to hear why Oppenheimer sucked, here's Mark.
Well, first of all, one correction. 1981 was only 20 years ago. Okay, there's no way that was.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yes, 20 years ago.
So my major nit to pick, you just said it. The constant time changes, past, present, in between, with no explanation, no wording on the bottom, just going back and forth. I have no idea what's going on. You guys know I'm an idiot. I need to be explaining these things, and it wasn't. So
Well, you knew that black and white was a different time, right?
yes. Well, the black and white was actually
It
current.
was all Robert Downey Jr.'s perspective,
Yeah.
but current time, it was still black and white.
Yeah. Anyway, that's actually it's affecting my rating because it was very confusing, and like you said, you need a second viewing. You really do. I didn't understand. They left the sex scene in there, which wasn't that. I'd heard of all the sex news. I don't know. It wasn't that much, but they left it in there. But then, when he first met Florence Pugh, they were just falling in love. They had sex for the first time, which again, they took the screen time to show that. The next time you see her, she's yelling at him, "Get away from me! I hate you!" Whatever it was, with no explanation of that. Why didn't you cut that? You don't need, this is coming from me. You didn't need the sex and nudity. I'd rather have seen the story of why does she hate you all of a sudden? Why does she not want you there? It made no sense.
She was schizophrenic.
Sure.
But I don't know. I confusing. That's all I'm
Well,
saying.
at least she wasn't a bear,
I don't know what that means.
like in Paddington, where you had problems with
Oh.
the bear not being a bear. She was a woman being a woman.
There were simply too many characters to keep track of, and a lot of them had European names, so I regularly had no idea who was who or who they were referring to, saying that name sounds familiar. I think so I had IMDb. This movie took me a 3-hour movie was like 5 hours because I kept pausing it and looking at IMDb to see what the actor's face looked like, and I was like, oh, okay, I got it. I don't know. It was like Game of Thrones, the first season. I'm like, everyone has long hair and a beard. They all look like. I also, this is very unusual because I normally like Emily Blunt very much, but I didn't like her. I didn't think she was good in the character, and I thought their relationship was so strained and awkward. And they're going for that, but I just didn't buy them as a couple. I don't know. I didn't like their scenes together. The second half dragged, and it took me 3 sittings, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday to watch it all. And I also think Christopher Nolan screwed up by not casting Bryan Cranston as Heisenberg.
Well, of course, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
If only he was supposed to be older, that would have been amazing.
Exactly. Having said all of that, I did not hate the movie at all. The aging makeup at the end I thought was great. The acting and writing was generally very good, other than what I already said. And the test run scene in the desert the whole build up to it was fantastic, and it was riveting. And as you said, you know, is it going to work? I mean, you know, it's going to work, but it was a well-made movie. Had they fixed some of the things I said or whatever, or maybe I just need a second viewing, which some movies you do. I think I would have wiped out some of my confusion and really raised my stars. It's a 3-star movie for me, which is still obviously it's a good movie. To me, I mean, it was better than Everything Everywhere All at Once last year that won. Very crazy and wonky and different, but it wasn't necessarily the best movie ever. So this, I think, was better than that, but just still too confusing.
I think you need to watch Everything All at Once again as well.
Sure.
Because the second time I watched it, I was laughing like crazy.
Got it.
Once I understood where everything was going,
Yeah.
it was a
And there's
very
definitely certain movies are like that. You just need a second viewing or a third viewing.
especially when you're Mark Gardner.
Yeah. Very like an idiot, like me.
All right. Aim, I assume you liked it a little better.
I liked it a little better. I did watch it twice.
But 2 weeks apart.
2 or 3 weeks, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, your lipstick is going crazy right now.
I know. I love them talking about the theory of black holes without them ever saying black holes. And we should have put the movie Black Hole next week. So you remember that movie, right? The Disney
Oh,
movie.
it's on next year's list already.
I saw that in the movie theater.
It's going to be a very long list.
Joel has at least 25 movies on his list for next year at this point.
Yeah. I picked this up last night when they were doing the test of the bomb, and somebody said, turn the cars around for emergency evacuation. I'm like, who thinks of that? That was brilliant. And when everybody was cheering him so much and hanging on the floor, and he kept just seeing their skin melting and stepping in the burned body, and whenever they did that, when you could see what he was thinking, I just loved it. I really enjoyed it. It was confusing, and yeah, it was a little clearer the second time around, but I also got really tired last night and was like out of it before the last hour. But I did absolutely love this movie, and I wish it was a little clearer, but I'll still give it 4 stars. It wasn't my favorite movie of the year. My favorite movie was actually Barbie, but this was number 2.
There's another controversy we should have discussed, because I thought Barbie was a 4-star movie as well.
Yeah.
Annie, had you seen it before this week?
I did. I saw it when it opened. I saw it in the big theater. And
Yeah. How impressive was that on the big screen?
Oh,
Really?
It
God,
was.
that was great.
Annie,
was-
did you see it in IMAX or
No.
No, okay.
Not IMAX, but
Just asking.
I
I'm
did go to
in.
the theater, and I thought, wow, like the sound and that for my first viewing, that was what came across. It was so confusing. I wasn't sure what went on, but I did remember like the sound and everything was just really amazing.
Visually, it was a beautiful movie to watch.
Yeah.
So watching it a second time did help a lot. And then also just talking about it while watching it, because in the theater, you're not really talking about it, but watching it at home and talking about it helped make it a little bit better.
And causing to look at IMDb.
No, I don't. Not really, and I don't pick up my phone either when I'm watching a movie. So, but so it was better, and I understood it a little bit more and stuff. It's not my type of movie. I mean, there was so much hype that I actually went to see it in the theater, which was nice. But
the whole last summer with the Barbenheimer was a brilliant campaign, and it wasn't even the same movie studio.
Nope.
It's 2 different movie studios, and whoever started that really hyped up both of those movies, and that's why they both made $1 billion.
Yeah. So I liked it. It wasn't it's just not my thing. It's not my type of movie. I learned things, which was nice. It was interesting, things that, I had no interest in before, but it was interesting to know. So to me, I'm going with 3.5.
Saying it was something you had no interest in before reminded me that all I kept thinking was, I hated that in school, how much I hated school. And I didn't even take physics. I took chemistry instead. And I always regretted not taking physics because I feel like you use physics more in your daily life without even realizing it. I just loved learning all that stuff, which is why, as you all know, I then watched a 90-minute documentary, which is the exact same story as this movie. And the movie was so true to it. And seeing the real people was fascinating. So it kills me that I'm much more interested in learning things now.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
What's the name of the documentary?
Something the war.
Fat Man and Little Boy.
No,
But,
it's a
That's not a
documentary.
documentary. That's a movie from the late
Yeah.
80s, early 90s. With
I'll write it down in the text again. It's
yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
because I was gonna look it up, but had no time.
Yeah, it's only
But
90
the
minutes.
whole fact versus fiction.
Yeah,
you know.
it was all fact, really, this movie. And I also remember loving the first time I watched it, hearing the names that I do remember, like Enrico Fermi and Niels Bohr. I'm like, oh, I remember them, but I had never heard of Heisenberg until Breaking Bad or
Yeah,
Oppenheimer. I don't
yeah.
remember learning any of that.
Okay,
Niels
side
Bohr.
story. Last night we went to Applebee's, and on the way out were what's his name? The two people from Breaking Bad, Jesse and
Walter White.
well, what's their really names?
Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston and whatever his name is,
Oh my
Paul.
God.
Yeah,
Is it
Paul.
Paul.
Well,
Something Paul. Ryan Paul.
it was a big standee
Aaron
of the
Aaron
two of
Paul.
them.
Aaron Paul.
A big standee of the two of them, and they're promoting a tequila or something right now.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's called what was it, like Polo something. Anyway, look it up, Amy. You know what? It was funny when I was watching. Cillian Murphy, first of all, is so skinny. Good Lord, get that man a sandwich.
Yeah.
But he kept reminding me with the hat on. He kept reminding me of Peter Weller in Naked Lunch.
Yep.
Ah,
You're not the only one. The first time I saw that picture of him, I was like,
yeah,
that's Peter Weller in Naked Lunch. Is that what they're
funny.
going for with this?
Is that the look they were going for?
Well, I think it's just a general 40s,
Yeah, but
look,
and because he was so
they have
I
similar
also-
facial
he
structures.
was so gaunt.
Yeah.
I think in general he
gaunt.
tends to be lean anyway, but I think he probably lost a little bit of weight because they referenced a few times, please, you got to eat because he was working so
Right.
much. So I think he was going for that look.
He looked a lot like the real Oppenheimer. When you watch the wonderful documentary from MSNBC called To End All War, Oppenheimer and the Atomic Bomb.
Thank you.
There you go. I'm going to watch that today.
Yeah, so good. Well, some of us who are mature and sophisticated like to learn things.
Yes.
I feel I learned a lot watching this movie. All right, J. Harris Finster. It's a masterpiece. Tell them.
It is a masterpiece. I've told them 4 stars.
Okay, good. All right, Joel's done. Thank you. Thank you, Joel.
Yeah, look, when I saw it last summer in the theater, did not see it. The film was shot in IMAX, so that would have been the best way to see it. But there's no real IMAX theater near me anymore because they tore it down. So I have to schlep into the city for that, and that's just not going to happen at this point. So I don't go into the
You're
city.
not from the Schleppers.
Yeah, I'm not from the Schleppers. So I figured it didn't matter where I saw it, and I actually saw it at a local theater multiplex, and they had it in one of the smaller theaters. Like, I'm not sure if my screen is bigger or their screen is bigger, movie theaters. But you could tell immediately that this was a movie that was made to immerse you in it. With the sound and the visuals, and it really was amazing. A great film for me is one that's going to make you want to go back and watch it, and not only make you want to go back and watch it, but make you want to go back and learn more about it, whether it's the making of the film or the history of the film, if it's a historical subject or whatever.
Like Amy just did.
Yeah, and honestly, since last summer, I've been wanting to go back and watch Roland Joffe's Fat Man and Little Boy with Paul Newman and Dwight Schultz as Oppenheimer. Yeah, I remember liking it when it came out.
Yeah, I saw it too whenever it was.
And I actually did watch it after watching Oppenheimer this time, and I was like, wow, this is like somebody like read the Cliff Notes, had a drunken bender, and then wrote a script after it, because it's
1989.
it's very It's an interesting film,
So,
not a
so
bad.
Paul Newman is Matt Damon?
Yeah, Paul Newman plays General Groves in the completely Paul Newman gruff way of doing things that he tended to do later in life. I want to say he's almost parodying his Sidney Musburger from the Hudsucker
I
Proxy,
knew you were going to say that.
except that was a few years later. So
So then he was parodying his general.
yeah, in the Hudsucker Proxy. It's interesting seeing the same story told in a different way, because Fat Man and Little Boy really focuses in on the relationship between Groves and Oppenheimer more than anything else. So everything else that's in there is very kind of off the
Superfluous.
cuff, and yeah, it's almost superfluous. You know, even though you know the outcome of getting the bomb built, you're not surprised by it in this film. Whereas in Oppenheimer, you're like, you know, as Amy said, oh, they're gonna make it happen. You know, and
Well, I think that movie was more about the bomb than it was about Oppenheimer.
which movie, Fat Man and Little Boy?
Batman, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, once they added a character that was a mix of several other characters just to kill him off because of a radiation mistake that happened,
Right.
you know, it was interesting. Although I will say, Oppenheimer not really addressing anything like that. It's like with all these people working on this project, no one really got injured. And they
Right.
kind of left that
Right.
out because there were a couple of people that did get injured and died from radiation sickness in the process.
Right. And also years later, of course.
Well, yeah, but that's different. I'm talking about like within a month
Mhm.
after the accident happening.
Right.
So, and that to me, that's a nit to pick. It's a historical drama, if you're calling it that, doesn't need to adhere to 100% historical accuracy because you
Mm.
want to change things for some dramatic effect. And I think Christopher,
It's not a documentary.
yeah, I think he did an amazing job in every aspect of things, right down to you know, casting. There is almost no part in this film that isn't cast with somebody who, if the part supported the film better, wouldn't have gotten a nomination of some sort. You know, I mean, even David Krumholtz, who you know, playing uh, Isidore Ruby, is amazing in his part. Um, Not to say that he's not a great actor; he's a good actor, but just he brings so much to it. And I
And
think,
how surprising was it to all of a sudden see Rami Malek?
yeah, and it's interesting having seen it a second time at this point, and it's definitely a movie I will go back to, you know, at some point again. Is like things like David Dalmastian. I can't pronounce his last name. You know what?
One of Ant-Man's crew.
Yeah, one of the guy who played Ant-Man's crew, who was the one who actually, you know, reported Oppenheimer to uh,
The committee.
the committee. Um, you know, he seems to come out of nowhere and just has this little part. But if you actually watch some of the group scenes, he's in there in the background. You know,
There,
he's there, and so there's a lot of that going on, which I thought was really kind of cool too. Um, Sound design on
you know,
this,
I think also it's the kind of movie where, first of all, Christopher Nolan's involved.
yeah,
So if he comes to you and says, "Would you be willing to do this little part?" You're like, "I
sure,
love you. I'll do whatever you want. Just let me know where to be."
right. Well, it's like Casey Affleck, you know, in the one scene that he's in, you know.
Yeah. It's like,
Um,
I'm there. You need me, I'm there.
it's beautifully shot, it's beautifully edited. As I was saying, the sound design is truly amazing. Just when the bomb goes off and the sound goes off
Out. Yes.
is,
Brilliant. But you still hear the ruffling of their clothing and they're moving and
And
there's
then
no bomb.
a minute later, when a few people are talking, I think it was they were getting out of the car, then they felt the force, and it was
yep.
like you forgot about that. You know, that I
Yeah.
thought that part
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
As an audience
Brilliant.
member.
Brilliant. Just brilliant.
Um, and talking about Oscar nominations, there's only one film that came out this year that I think deserves the best sound award more than this film does, and that's Zone of Interest. But just throwing that out there.
I wasn't as interested.
Yeah, I
Zone
was,
of
but
disinterest for me.
the sound on that film was also amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway, it really it's a 4-star film for me, and it's
I already wrote that down 10 minutes ago.
okay. So I'll stop babbling. I don't think there's anything else I have to say about it. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
You didn't watch the making of?
I have not had a chance. It's on my list, and it's not a Mark
Joel,
list.
Joel,
I
Joel,
think, between a show and cleaning up the house and
Joel,
Malcolm's
Joel.
home this week, there's
I
a
would have watched that over Fat Man and Little Boy.
no. I had to do that because that's been in my head since last summer. I needed to get that out. So, and then we also had to watch Poor Things. It was the only Best Picture nominee I hadn't seen yet. So,
All right. So we love the Oscars last.
really, we're still going
It was
with
great. I love that they started an hour early. That
Yeah.
made it
Yeah.
bedtime a little.
But some of the speeches went on so long. It was like, what was the point of starting an hour early? It killed it.
Yeah, because I mean, you get this one moment. You want to thank everybody that you ever met in your whole life. I understand that completely. And we know, every movie takes hundreds of people to make it.
I still think it was amazing to get a repeat of last year when Dame Helen Mirren smacked Dame Judi Dench when they were presenting an Oscar together. So.
That was a great moment.
I have a question. Since we all know that Oppenheimer has won, everybody here who has already watched all of the nominees, do you think that another movie should have won?
Absolutely not.
No.
Oh, not the majestic scope of this movie.
Okay.
There's no way. And I watched 9 of the 10 movies. I did not see Past Lives, but for me,
Some of us saw all 10 because we care.
Yeah.
I wish to go back to 5.
I know.
This was definitely the best movie of the year.
Amy, if it went back to 5, what would the 5 movies have been?
Barbie, Oppenheimer, Zone of Interest, Poor Things.
It's hard for me to remember. Oh, American Fiction, definitely.
So there's the 5. We're good.
Past Lives was a lot of fun.
I haven't seen it. But yeah, going back to 5. So Mark, did you see all 10 movies?
No, I saw 3.
3.
I saw Spider-Man and Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Spider-Man.
I have no idea what Zone of Interest is. I don't really know Past Lives. Anatomy of a Fall, I don't know. Maybe now that I know there's a dog in it, that Joel said it, now I want to see it. That's about it.
That dog deserves an Oscar. That dog should have gotten a special Oscar. That dog was amazing in that movie.
Does anything happen to the dog?
They trained him to be dead. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I honestly thought, did they drug this dog? Because he was so convincing.
Yeah.
All right. Oppenheimer is available on Peacock. Peacock. If you subscribe to that service. Don't blame me. Blame Katy Perry.
You said it more than she's ever sung it.
So what's going to happen when Paramount Plus and Peacock merge into one streaming service?
Paracock?
Cockmount.
Yes.
Mount's a cock. Mount's a cock. But you can rent it on Prime for $5.99. And my library, I looked it up. There's like they have 54 copies, but there's 180 people in the line waiting for them.
Wow.
Next week we'll be reviewing 2015's Oscar-winning Best Picture, Spotlight. So we're continuing our Oscar mania. Again, not on your usual streaming service, and you could rent it for $3.79, a little cheaper, or you can go to the library. Happy Oscars to everybody. I'm Frank Gaffney. Go watch a movie.
And also with you. And thank the Academy.